Hi, everyone. Dennis Pombriant, Beagle Research here with Mark Fishman, Director of Sales and Marketing at One Business Solutions. And Mark is a steady user of Zoho One. So we've got one and one. Let's see if it makes three. Maybe before we get really rolling, could you give us a thumbnail of who you are and what your company's about and things like that?
Absolutely. So I guess technically by my business card, uh, I'm the director of sales and marketing for One Business Solutions. So you got real close.
I get close.
Either way, it's trust me, it's as complicated for us as it is for you. We rebranded actually when I started in the company in March. We've been in business now for about 40 years in some way, shape, or form, and we are a nationally recognized call center, answering service, and business process outsourcing unit.
And you've got some consulting in there too, don't you?
Yeah, that's the one I always forget.
Okay, that's the newest one, right?
I can't say if it was new necessarily, but our owner and president, Janet Livingston, has been a consultant basically throughout her entire career. So it's always been an undercurrent to every business that she's been a part of.
I see. I see. So over the course of 40 years, you all must have tried and used a bunch of different software.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the answering service sector, I mean, there's always some new technology that you're chasing. I got to hear all last week about how it used to be beepers and pagers, and then it moved to something else and something else. There's always another technology that we have to be up in front of. Like right now, we're dealing with the advent of the virtual receptionist, which is just a really fancy way of saying what we already do.
Very cool. Very cool. So you've been using Zoho One for how long now?
They turned the platform on, I believe, right at the beginning of 2019.
Okay, so you've had the shakedown cruise. All the bugs are out. Everybody's up and running and happy. How are you using it in your business? Because there are what 45 applications.
Give or take, but I lost count after probably the 39th. I'm not
Okay.
sure. We've been using primarily, I mean, it runs everything in our business, save for just a few pieces, honestly. With the sales team specifically, we use the CRM. That's what drives all of the business there. The marketing team is on all of the associated apps inside of the marketing hub. So campaigns, sites, social. I'm sure I'm missing a few in there. And then, of course, our customer service team uses Desk a lot.
Okay. Okay. Now, in your use of the system, one of the things that I've noticed about Zoho One is that it's really a platform. It's got a lot of capability to make your business agile by making your software development and output flexible. Is that what you're seeing? And can you give us some sense of how you're using it to make your business more agile?
Sure. I mean, with a platform this deep for us, it allows us to ask bigger questions than we've ever been able to answer before, even asked when we've got new customers coming in. It's no longer a constraint of just answering a phone. Now we're getting all sorts of requests because every one of our customers could be absolutely different. So having the ability for us to be able to service them, anything that they need, we know that we've got something inside Zoho that can help us come to that conclusion. I could actually give you an example that happened 10 minutes ago. So one of my salesmen wrote me saying that he had a good conversation with a prospect who wanted us to fill out, they're using a Microsoft Word form that they just fill out and then they email to people in their organization. And he said, is that something that we can do? I said, well, how about instead we use a Zoho form and create some automation so it just automatically dumps out to the people that they need. So we can probably improve that customer's business without them even knowing it.
So that would save a few trees, yes?
It would save more than a few, that's for sure. And really for us, when we get to pitch it, it allows us to be at the forefront of what this customer needs, introducing them to technology that they hadn't even considered.
Now, when you do something like that, is it like a 3 week job? Is it a month or more? Or how do you justify doing all that customization?
Well, since every customer is unique to us, our time to get them up and live can be sometimes as quick as 36 hours. Just depends on what we have to set up for them. since every customer is unique. Even something like that, to be honest, we could still get done in a day.
Really?
It's just a matter of getting the right information from them ahead of time and making sure we have enough time to test their lines and give a few softballs to the team before we turn them live.
Now, in some organizations that have this kind of rapid response, there's an issue of, oh, gee, I hope I don't break something when I deploy. Is that something you fret about? How do you handle that?
I can't say that it's something that we've ever lost any sleep over, because for most of the time when we're using the Zoho platform, we're informing the customer. They're coming to us, we're providing them the solution ahead of time. And because we operate with a really great safety net with the Zoho enterprise support, we haven't broke the system yet.
Really?
Not that I've known, but I mean, for all I know, it's on fire. We hope not. But
Well, I think you'd be hearing from somebody at this point, and we probably wouldn't be here.
my phone's not buzzing yet, so we're
No,
safe.
that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Now, I think in our pre-interview, you said you have 125 people.
Give or take on any given day, yes.
Are they all in one location?
No, we're actually all over the United States. We've got brick and mortar uh, set up. Our corporate headquarters is in the suburbs of Knoxville, Tennessee, but we also have centers in Toledo, Ohio, Redding, California, some folks out in San Francisco. I'm in Chicago. We have senior team in upstate New York, Toronto, and probably a few I'm missing.
So does Zoho One help you keep everybody coordinated and singing from the same hymnal?
100%. Everybody is in click on some channel talking at pretty much every hour of the day.
Okay, and you're using that to distribute information to people who aren't necessarily in the main thread?
Yep, every team has their own channel, as well as just active conversations going around through everybody. And we've also got some email groups that sadly I'm a part of all of them, so my email is always just on. I left actually this morning, and when I landed, I had 80 emails, of which like 10 were actually valid for me.
Really? Wow.
But they like to make sure that I know what's going on.
Well, yeah, you have to be in the loop, I guess. You're kind of important to the whole
They keep telling me
operation.
there's a quiz on it later. So.
I see. I see. Let's circle back for a second to the CRM side. It seems like you've got several different business models operating at the same time. And one of the models is direct B2B or B2C with the Salesforce. How are you using the CRM aspect of Zoho?
Well, we live and die by the adage that if it's not in Zoho, it doesn't exist in the company. So every sale begins and ends inside the CRM. We have been kind of hammering that piece into place since I started. We imported data from a few, let's say, less than desirable CRM systems. We kind of cobbled them together. In fact, we all had a good laugh apparently because I'd never heard of them. And again, this is what happens. As the company itself was built when I was hired to come together. We had several different answering services throughout the United States that were all owned by the same corporate entity, but there wasn't anything that was unifying them. So when I started, that unification project happened because we had Zoho One. When we imported all the data into CRM, we had a fresh start. And really ever since, when we go into our sales process, when we're looking at, from birth to sale with every customer that comes in, we're really looking at every step and asking the question every day, is there something in this process that can be improved? And we know that, I've tinkered around with it enough to know now that, it's forever changing, but it's always helping us get a little bit faster and get to the end result quicker.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you've got a more or less formalized sales process that you iterate on and you try to improve all the time. Out the back end of the sales process, now that you're using Zoho CRM, do you have any information about before and after, like sales productivity or number of people who are making quota or anything like that?
I really think from where we've been, it's really just been about getting the customer onboarded quicker. The sales process, which we're even right now trying to improve and be completely digital, I mean, we are digital, but we're sending people emails to fill out long forms. The forms come back, they go to a different team member, and that gets them to input them into the system, get them set up on desk so that we can manage their basically the whole account. But even now, we know that we have that ability that we can get all of that information completely through Zoho using any number of the apps inside the suite with forms and survey, and be able to automate and trigger that process a little bit better. In terms of the actual productivity of the sales team, they're working as hard as they ever have been, but now they're spending a lot less time having to worry about nuts and bolts and entering things into, you know, outdated systems.
Well, that's the thing. It sounds like they're spending more time in front of customers.
Yes, definitely more opportunity to get them rolling their sleeves up and prospecting and finding better ways to get stuff in while we're still at the same time using Zoho to drive more things through the top of the funnel. So that hopefully, my goal is always as a sales director is just to make sure that, you know, their phone's always ringing or they've always got something that's a little bit warmer than just sitting there and cold calling, which we absolutely never want to do.
So when you started your deployment, how did it go? Did you try to do a big bang thing, or did you start with one corner of CRM or sales or marketing or service and support?
I guess I would have to say that the train was already rolling when I started. They had started with Desk and CRM really initially, and that was it. Those were the two major platforms that they had rolled out. But as I got started and had never been introduced to Zoho, and I was talking with our vice president of strategy and the rest of the senior team about what Zoho One was after they corrected me on we are one, and I thought Zoho One was part of our company, and there was a lot of back and forth. But once I figured out who was what and what the platform was, they
Who's on first?
exactly, and they basically showed me the Zoho One space with all of the different apps there. And not a week later, I'd actually gone to Zoholics here in Austin and got sort of baptism by fire. I just, you know, they gave me a little notebook and a pen, and at every single stop along those 3 or 4 days, every time they hit a new app, I would just write it down and box it. So when I came home, I would go back and look at that whole map and say, okay, now I see where all the pieces are starting to fit. And starting really from the marketing side of it, saying we have all of these different opportunities with, well, really, you know, campaigns for sure to start with. Each time we would have an idea, it was starting from how do we connect to the customer first, most important, and then going into the app space and seeing what is available to us here that we can use. You know, adopting the ideology that everything has to talk to everything here, and it all funnels into CRM at some point. That was our big aha moment, is that all of these things are available to us. So really, it's just been a matter of starting from CRM and Desk and just expanding out there when we have the need for it.
Now, I understand you've also taught yourself how to do an awful lot within the product set, and you're self-taught, and it seems like you're able to go into a lot of the different apps and make modifications, create new things for customers. Can you give us a flavor of what that's like? I mean,
Sure. Well, once we got back from Zoholics, actually, we had decided to work with enterprise support, and you know, we're told that we had the safety net. You know, basically, go ahead and try to break it. We've got someone there to make sure that you don't. Really, it came down to having those leading questions like, why can't we do something better, or how do I make this thing work? And basically, just being on call with our enterprise support tech, Mike Milford, all the time. He's in our Click channels, and basically every morning it's just sort of, hey, how's it going? What's your day look like? Let me steal half an hour. And I just keep a rolling tab of things we want to improve. When I got the job with One, uh, they told me it was director of marketing, but almost immediately afterwards, the senior team and I came to this conclusion that I needed to have a staff underneath. Normally, I'm kind of a department of one kind of guy. But with all of the production that would have to happen, all of the campaigns we'd have to design, the logo work, the websites, and all of that, they really wanted to give me a team. As soon as I had that team underneath me, I found that my day-to-day really has been, how do I make Zoho better now that I've got some time? And I've kind of become that linchpin. You know, like I joke, my career prior to working for One Business Solutions was I was sort of the token millennial wherever I showed up, which meant I fixed everybody's printer.
Yeah.
But now that we have offices all over the place, I don't have printers to fix. So I have Zoho. Everybody just kind of calls me up and says, "Hey, I need this thing. Can Zoho do it?" And I just say blanket yes, whatever it is. And we write it down, and then I call Milford and I bug him, and then he tells me how to do it.
Wow, that's quite a short chain of command.
It is, but it works out in my favor. Actually, what I've been trying to do most of the time, not to waste enterprise support's time, is I'll go in and try to do it myself. And then when we actually have the call, I usually walk them through like this was what I was thinking, and it's always about helping me figure out how the data connects from one piece of the puzzle to another. And hopefully there's no quiz after this later, but I would say I'm doing okay. Every time they ask me to do something else, like fix another module, I can pretty much handle that on my own.
It sounds like you're doing quite well.
We're trying.
Yeah. Now, have you guys you've been very busy for the last year. Have you spent any time trying to analyze before and after in an ROI sense?
I guess to say that when we look at the actual return on the platform itself, I mean, first of all, there's a cost savings to being on this platform versus being on similar platforms that don't talk to each other. One of the projects I had my marketing team do was actually go out and put together a sheet of, hey, if we had to use all of these other platforms that we know don't talk to each other, but we could maybe hammer them together with Zapier or whatever else is out there, what would that look like? And we looked at the number and we had to check it about 5 or 6 times to make sure we didn't miss something. And well, that cost savings alone just makes us happy every morning.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, we really see the ROI in just being faster, better, smarter, and just if 2019 was the year that our company adopted the Zoho One platform, 2020 is really the year now where we're going to start honing in with a laser, just starting making sure like how can we really improve this singular process instead of just make a whole department run.
All right, got it. Maybe one last question. I don't know if this is something that applies, but what are some of the metrics that your organization uses to run the business, and how do you get them out of Zoho?
Well, for the sales team, I personally create an analytics dashboard that tracks every customer in and sort of where they land in the funnel. We created some custom lead statuses inside the CRM, and I just see basically how they trickle down per each sales team member. So I look at that all the time. We also pull into the same report when we use lead acquisition, how much that lead costs. So we also are tracking at the same time how much does each lead source cost us in, how much are we making out. And then on the customer support and service side, they're tracking daily how many tickets are made, how quickly are they tackled, and they have metrics on all of the individual programmers and their time addressing each of those tickets. And the operations queue is one of the things we talk about every morning on senior call.
Okay. Just one quick follow-up. Are you guys doing anything with attrition or customer churn?
Well, it's something that we're always mindful of. There's just that's part of our business. We know that's always in there. What we did do a great customization in the platform. Inside Click, we created an at-risk channel. So as our agents might be talking to a customer where we know we may not be doing the greatest job, or the customer is hinting like they may not like what we're doing, we have this channel that is on 24/7, like most of the platform, but they'll actually say, hey, we're having a problem with this customer. Everyone be on alert when another call comes through to keep an eye on that. And then senior team the next morning will look at those accounts. And if we have to intervene by contacting the customer or just having a call looking over the data, we've got that always at the ready. So Zoho in that respect has allowed us to be proactive rather than reactive.
Sure. And that I imagine goes down to ROI per transaction.
For sure. I mean, we're in a recurring business where we know the longer that our customers are with us, the better our bottom line is always going to be. So once we get them on the hook, we want to do everything we can to keep them there.
Lifetime value, churn rate.
Absolutely.
Okay, all that good stuff. Okay, I think we're out of time. Mark Fishman, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I'm Dennis Pombriant. Thanks for joining us.